it's Emily, and today I'm here to bring you another Recent Reads video. It's been a few weeks since I filmed a Recent Reads. I've gone back to work on a hybrid work-from-home work in the building schedule, so that's been keeping me busy. And also, the real reason I haven't been reading is because I've been binge watching the show Community, and it's really good, and I'm really enjoying it, but it has been cutting into my reading time. But I have read a few books, so let's just talk about those. The first book that I finished recently was Murder at the Brightwell by Ashley Weaver. This is the first book in the Amory Ames series, and Amory is a wealthy young woman who is invited by her ex-fiancé to stay at the Brightwell Hotel for a little seaside vacation. And Amory and her husband Milo have been estranged recently, so she thinks that it'll be a good way to take her mind off things. But when she gets there, she finds that Gil wants her to convince his sister, Emmeline, not to marry her fiancé, who he considers to be a little bit of a playboy. But before Amory can really start working on Emmeline, the fiancé is found dead. So, and Gil is named the prime suspect right away. So Amory begins to work on proving that Gil is innocent by investigating all the other people staying at the hotel, most notably some friends of Gil's that are also staying there. And so while in the course of her investigation, her husband Milo shows up at the hotel, and she sort of enlists him to help her with this investigation. So this is part murder mystery and then part Amory reconciling her feelings for Gil and Milo, because there's been some history in the past that she never really resolved. So it's a very interesting mystery. It's set in the 1930s in England on the coast, and so we do see a little bit of history. There's mentions to tensions with Germany, but on the whole, this is basically your standard feel-good mystery where the outside world isn't really intruding. This was good. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. I could see myself reading the next in the series, but I don't think it is one that I would rush out to get the next one. But yeah, this was a really good, easy to read mystery. The next book is one that I really enjoyed, and that was The Flatshare by Beth O'Leary. This is a romance that follows two people, Tiffy, who is a publishing assistant, who recently broke up with her boyfriend, and then Leon, who is a night nurse. And Leon is in need of some money, and so he decides to let his flat in downtown London, or I don't know if it's downtown London, but it's in the city of London. And he decides to let his flat during the evening hours while he's at work. And Tiffy is in desperate need of somewhere to stay, so she takes this offer. And so we see how Tiffy and Leon become friends, first by writing notes to each other and making each other food, and then we see how their relationship develops into a romance. But in addition to that, we also very much see the issues of Tiffy and Leon's life. Tiffy's ex-boyfriend was abusive to her, and so she's struggling with her self-image. She starts going to therapy. She also has a really great group of friends that she sees a lot, and we see how they encourage her in sort of jump-starting her life again as this new woman who's come through some trauma. Leon has a brother who's in prison for a crime that he did not commit, and that's why he needs money in order to hire a new lawyer for his brother's appeal. And so we see how his brother's relationship, he and his brother's relationship has changed because of his prison experience. We also see his relationship with his mom and how that's affected his life. And yeah, it's just a really great romance. Very modern, very interesting. The first half of the book is primarily an epistolatory story, which I really enjoy. And yeah, I really enjoyed this book. The romance is cute. Tiffy and Leon are both really great characters. I would highly recommend this book. It's a 4-star read for me. It's one of the best books I've read so far this year. It's very light and sweet for the most part. There is some serious subjects, of course, the abusive relationship, overcoming trauma, the imprisonment of Leon's brother, and yeah, it's just but yeah, overall, really cute story, really good quarantine, take your mind off things kind of read. I really recommend it. The last book that I finished recently was The Henna Artist by Alka, and this is following a henna artist named Lashimi, and she ran away from an abusive marriage about 15 years before the book starts, and she settled in the city of Jaipur, where she is a very highly sought after henna artist for the wealthy women of Jaipur. And she has recently built a house and she's finishing up her final payments on it, so she's going to move in there, and she's very excited. And she also has recently gained the attention of the local ruler, and she's been invited to the palace to potentially become the henna artist for the local ruler's wife. And so her life is going very well. She's very happy with everything that's going on, and she decides to send a letter to her parents back in her hometown and invite them to come and live in her new house with her. Well, her parents do not come. Instead, her ex-husband, well, he's her husband, but her estranged husband Harry comes, along with a 13-year-old sister that was born after she left, named Radha. And so this immediately complicates Lashimi's life. Radha is a very impertinent girl. She doesn't really understand the concept of deference, being polite to women that are rude to her in order to grease the wheels, so to speak. And Lashimi begins to train Radha in the manner that she thinks Radha needs to be growing up as in order to be a successful woman. Radha is enrolled in the local school by one of Lashimi's patrons, and so she begins to interact with the children of some of her sister's patrons who are much wealthier and much more higher class than her in the caste system, and so we see the conflicts there, and Radha develops some relationships in this school that negatively impact Lashimi's career. And so in the course of the book, we are seeing Lashimi figure out, what's important to her, whether this ambition to become the henna artist to the palace and to, more of the upper class women in the town is really the right path for her. Several things happen throughout the course of the book that make her realize that these patrons are not as kind as they seem, and that they are willing to, sort of dismiss her if they think she is going to compromise their power in any way. And it's very much a story also of found family. The two sisters become very close throughout the course of the book, and also Lashimi has a servant boy named Malik that her relationship improves drastically, and by the end of the book, Malik is basically her son, and we see how these relationships change Lashimi throughout the course of the book. It's a really wonderful story. It's set in, as I said, Jaipur in India in the 1950s, right after India gains its independence from Britain. So we see how that is changing the society and the people that Lashimi works with. This was my book club book for the month, and I am looking forward to discussing it with the ladies of the club. I think we're going to have some really great discussions, and yeah, I would definitely recommend this if you're looking for a very evocative historical fiction book to read in this very stressful time. Currently, I've decided to take a break from all the fiction and read a nonfiction book, and I picked up A Midwife's Tale by Laurel, Thatcher, Ulrich, and this is based on the diary of a midwife named Martha Ballard, who lived in Hallowell, Maine, and her diary covers the years of 1785 to 1812, and we see Laurel Thatcher Ulrich is using this diary as sort of the basis for a commentary on the social history. So far, we've covered medicine, we've covered birth rates, we've covered rape, we've covered marriage and the marriage rights and how those marriage rights are very different from our time. It's a very fascinating book. I'm really enjoying it. I started this book last May actually, but when I started it I was on vacation, so I wasn't in the mindset for like a more academic nonfiction book, so I put it down, but I picked it back up and started from the beginning again, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm definitely going to finish this before the end of the month, and yeah, I recommend it if you're interested in women's history, mostly just women's history and social history. The Revolutionary War is talked about, but it's not the main focus. So yeah, this is really just Martha Ballard's life and like how rare it is to know the details of an average person in this time, because most of our records are most of the records that we have are based on like important wealthy people. But yeah, so this is really, really good. I definitely recommend it if you have any interest at all in midwives, social histories, women's histories, all of the above. Really great book. So that's all I've been reading lately. As I said, I've been going back to work partially and also watching a lot of TV. But yeah, I'm also doing well. Nobody in my family has the coronavirus. Well, I should say nobody in my direct family. I did have a cousin pass away from the virus, but he was a second cousin on my dad's side, so I didn't know him that well, and he was also 75 years old, so he was in the sort of demographic for coronavirus, but other than that, things are going pretty okay. Life is sort of getting back to normal because I've been going to work. Also, Texas is like reopening because, you know, our government loves to kick people off unemployment. You know, they gotta make that money for, you know, the government. But anyway, I'm not going to get into politics, but yeah, so I hope everybody else is doing okay, staying safe, staying healthy, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!